warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Commnity Today on CEO Africa. If you are aware, well, this is the show where we talk about issues, where we talk about things that are happening in the community. We bring to you ideas, we bring to you opinions, and today I have someone very special with me. She is sitting down right here with me in the studio. She is beside me, and we would be talking on the importance of the library to economic development. My guest is no other than the State Librarian of Oyo State. She is Mrs. Adebola Akinlolu. How are you, ma?
Fine, thank you.
It's good. It's so good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, before I start the process of asking you a question, you responding, I would like to make this a little personal, because there are issues that I know are important to young people when it comes to the library services in Nigeria. And I hope that you will be able to address these issues and shed more light on the ones that cause concerns to not only young people, old people as well. Because the library services in Nigeria has a history, a very rich one. And while I was reading about one of the major concerns, one of the background, the basics, I found out that it was based on providing information. Is that right?
Yes.
Providing reading services for the people, not only in urban areas, but also to create an extension that will go to even the remotest places in the country. Now, I would ask you first, how real is rural services as far as the library system in Nigeria is concerned, before we even move on to its effect on the overall Nigerian society?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Though I may not be able to answer that question, to cover the whole of the federation,
Okay,
but I can talk about that one of Oyo State. Like the library that was established in Oyo State dated back to the old western region, when Chief Obafemi Awolowo introduced free education then. And it was established to provide an avenue for students, because it was common in those days that informal education was very rampant. People didn't go to a normal school. They went through the correspondence colleges. So it was an avenue for government to provide for them avenue of reading and accessing their necessary materials to pass their exam. So in Oyo State, we have rural libraries that are projects that are ongoing, because we have about 8 educational zones, and though some of them have a library existing there, but we are building libraries that will cater for the people in the rural areas across the state to provide for them.
All right, so we already talked about efforts to make library services available for even the people in rural areas. For instance, in Oyo State here, where you're the chief librarian. I would like to ask you a question which most young people would like to know. I'm being particular about young people because the library services, they are not something they are very much at the moment accessing, because there are e-books. They have other methods which you could deem as more convenient. So most people see the library as that was the place my mother used to go to.
Well, you may be right to some extent, but now we have e-library as well. There are e-libraries inside the main library, so it depends on your choice.
Okay.
Even the two of them, they have their own advantages and disadvantages.
I would like to know that.
Yeah, the advantage of the proper library, that is the library where we have your books in print materials, is that it is always there. It can be accessible anytime, anywhere. And even at home, not necessarily the main library is being owned by the government. Even your private libraries being owned by organizations or private homes, you can pass the books from generation to generation. But this e-library, though it is fast, you know, it doesn't consume much space.
Okay.
You know, it is readily available. But the disadvantage might be that some books there are time-based.
Okay.
You know, you may have to pay as you read, or you have to subscribe.
Okay.
But the books that we have in print materials, as you have bought it, you have owned it for life.
Okay. Now, I want us to talk about, is there anything like free services as far as the library system is concerned? Because you just mentioned that, well, that is one of the disadvantages of accessing e-books. You have to pay for most of their services. Do you have to pay for library services too?
No, you don't pay. You just pay for registration for
Just
the
for
whole year.
registration.
That's all. After that,
You're free to
you're
access
free
the
to
library.
access all the resources available in the library.
All right. And now I want us to go into mainstream, the effect, the impact of the library system on economic development. I would like to ask, what is government doing to use the library system? Because I want to believe that uneducated people are an enlightened people, and to an extent, when you have educated somebody, when you have given them, when you have introduced them to education, I am sure all of their problems, they would be able to start attending to them on their own. Is there anything government is doing to combat illiteracy? Because I want to believe this is a major step to having the desired impact on economic development as far as the library system is concerned.
Yeah. For a nation to develop, the citizenry must be well informed and well educated, and that's where the services of the library comes in. The library serves as a springboard, as a pivot for providing the necessary information we needed. Let's take the economy for example. Investors, they will like to know about the country where they want to invest in. All the necessary data, information they need will be accessed through the library.
Okay.
And that's where the library comes in. And let's take agriculture for example. Like Nigeria is planning to go back to agricultural system now.
As a mainstream.
Now.
Of course.
So the library will serve a very, very good function in this regard, because we have the researchers, the agri-extension services, the rural farmers and all of them, because I heard that they've been distributing phone to the rural farmers now. And all the information that will be related to them will be sourced from the library, because the library is where you can get factual information, not the ones they get from the internet that may not be factual. But in library, because researchers, publishers will go there to put in their published work in the library, and it is from the library that you can get all those information.
All right, I would like us to talk about what I would quote and unquote refer to as the glorious days of the library system, of library services in the country. I'm talking about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. That's still pretty recent, the 90s. What has changed? You may want to tell me if they've changed for the better, if things have changed for the better, or maybe not so better.
Well, I would say that it hasn't changed for the better, because even the so-called literates don't have interest in reading anymore.
And that is a major concern.
And that is a major concern, because now we practically go on campaign. We have this program that we call a readership campaign program. to encourage people.
The library has
The
that.
library, yes.
The readership campaign program. For how
yes.
long?
Has been on for quite a while.
Oh.
In Oyo State. We do go out, we go to schools, we go to media houses, to campaign, to encourage people.
Is that an innovation from
Oyo
your state?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so it probably isn't going on in some other states.
It may be going on because of the National Library, in collaboration with the Nigeria Library Association, do have similar program.
Oh, okay.
Like we did in December, we did a campaign that was tagged Egg Day. It was in December, on December 18th. It was carried out throughout the federation.
Okay.
We could just choose a topic, and invite all stakeholders and exhibit the products, the books. So we have that program to encourage people to come to the library. So like that Egg Day, it was carried out throughout the federation. So our own readership campaign program, we always go about to encourage people to cultivate the habit of reading. Because we know that it is dying down.
Do you think personally, as a matter of personal opinion, that the library services, the library system really could have an impact on the nation's economy? Could you really be in any way a factor of development? Could it be a factor of growth?
Definitely, I would say it is a factor, and a very important one at that. Because for policy makers, to formulate policy, in fact, to execute the policies, they need information.
Okay.
And all the information they need will have been deposited in the library. We have so many types of library: parliamentary library, academic library, school libraries, and all that. So all information, all intellectual works are deposited in the library.
Okay.
So for any development to be carried out, people need information to formulate policies.
Okay.
And that information, they have to access it through the library.
Okay. I want to know, on a lighter mood, what more can I find in the library? Apart from books?
Oh, we have non-book materials.
Okay, tell me about
In fact, it's not only books that we have in the library, because libraries do promote cultural heritage as well.
Okay.
Yeah. We have books. In fact, books are not for academics only. We have non-fiction books. We have comedy, articles, magazines, films, maps.
That was a whole lot of other things. All right. I want to know, is there anything specifically that the board is doing? I'm interested in the reading culture of Nigerians. I wouldn't know if you are aware of how poorly our young people have become in the academics. As regard reading, is just one aspect. The writing is equally cause for concerns. Is there anything that the body is doing to promote reading habit? It is one thing to tell young people, where there is a book concert, you have to be there. Be there, it is good for you. It is another for them to actually think it is attractive enough for them to come there. Is there anything else the body is doing to encourage reading habit?
Yeah, we are reaching out to the parents as well.
Oh, the parents?
Yes, because as part of our campaign program, we used to tell them that, to encourage your children, you have to buy books for them. If you want to reward them on anything, maybe they did well in school on their birthdays and all that, buy books to encourage them. Even you have books in your cars, in your living room, everywhere, have books, give them books. Even while waiting to be attended to, maybe in the bank, hospital, or anywhere, books in whatever form. You may have downloaded it in your device or wherever. We encourage parents, because parents are the first teachers of these children. So, we try to encourage parents before going down to the students as well.
All right. I want to believe that when somebody for instance, is a caregiver, a doctor, a nurse. You're going to be attending to somebody who is sick. I think you have to be healthy to an extent. Now, I want us to talk about what does government do to reorientate, to re-equip, to, if there is any word like reteach. I'm talking about librarians, the people who, somebody who you could make inquiries from, who could help you, even stir up your interest in reading. Are there any programs meant to help them in the course of their duties?
Yes, of course. We have in-house training programs for them.
Okay.
And we have workshops where they attend national workshop. In fact, they attend workshops outside the country from time to time to update their knowledge in the profession.
When we say time to time, years, once a year, twice, how regular does that happen?
Well, it depends on how often the programs are being organized. Yeah, and even the in-house thing is on monthly basis.
Okay.
At times quarterly, depends on the issue at stake.
Okay. I will be going back a little to what you said earlier about taking library services to the rural areas. Now, you know, when you have two kids, one is grew up in the urban area or is growing up there. One is in the rural area. For instance, a very, very remote town. The one who is growing up in the urban area has seen a train before, has seen an aeroplane, so knows that an aeroplane is supposed to fly, knows that there is a pilot in an aeroplane, there are coordinating members of the crew. Now, when you are going to be helping that kind of young person or a kid to grow in knowledge, the activities that you have to embark on, the kind of teaching that you have to do will be limited in some way. I mean, it will not be as vigorous as when you have to teach somebody who is back in some remote village about what an aeroplane is, actually has never seen it in a movie, has never had any other form of, apart from instance, probably looks up at the sky sometimes and sees something flying and calls it a bird. Now, there is a kind of disparage between attending to people in the urban areas when you compare to people who are in the rural. How do you manage this?
We have identified the disparity in the level of what would I say, knowledge or acquiring knowledge of rural children and urban children, and that is why we have picture books. When we used to have mobile libraries to go to the villages, the rural areas, we always take along those picture books. In fact, if you just give it to them without even saying anything, mere looking at it, we give them the picture of what you are trying to talk about.
So quickly, tell me about the activities of the Oyo State Library Board. Have there been any achievements so far? What are you planning to do to enhance your activities? To generally, what are your achievements? What are you looking up to? What are your plans, at least for the next 2 or 3 years or thereabouts? What are you looking at? What are your goals?
Our activities has been to promote reading culture. Mainly. And because we want people to understand that for any nation to grow economically, people must be well informed.
Of course.
And to get that information, you need a library. So when people read, they acquire more knowledge, and to help them, to innovate, and to think like we are trying to bring young entrepreneurs now. They need information to help them to form whatever company or to manufacture whatever they want to manufacture. They need information from library to do that. In terms of development of education in the state, we are now going out to even bring students to the library. We are not waiting for them to come again, especially those in the elementary schools, because we are trying to catch them young. So we have a timetable that we are going to do throughout the 3 local governments in the state. We have started, to bring them to the library, to explain to them the use of the library, the importance of using the library, so that it will help them in their educational performance.
Okay, so quickly, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say? How would you rate the performance story, the success story till now, on a rate of 1 to 10?
Well, it has been fair so far, because we know that teachers alone cannot give the students all the necessary things they need, and even by reading, it builds on the students to have interest, in what they are doing, and that's what we are trying to do, to encourage them to read. That because reading is not mainly for academic performance alone; it's for total man.
Okay, so I'm trying to put you on the spot. Are we looking at about 6 over 10, 7 over 10?
We rate 8 over 10.
8, all right.
Yes.
Well, before we say goodbye, are you worried that the library could, let me borrow a word, become relegated in the scheme of things? Are you worried?
It can never be relegated, because
Never.
people will always read. They will
Alright.
always want information.
All right.
So, never.
So what would you like to say on a final note to teachers, to students, and all stakeholders generally, as a way of encouragement?
Let me start by saying that government alone cannot do this.
Okay.
So that is why we are always trying to reach out to well-to-do people in the society, the entrepreneurs, the businessmen, the alma maters, of different schools.
Okay.
They could reach out to their schools, by donating necessary materials for the libraries in order to encourage these children.
Okay.
Then on the part of the parents, they said that children learn by example.
Yes.
So
they
parents too should find time to read.
Okay. Parents should begin reading.
Yes.
Interesting. All right.
Then on the part of the of the children or the students, they should continue to read, because when people stop reading, it means they are not alive.
They stop learning.
They stop learning.
In fact, they are dead.
They are dead. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on
very
the
much.
community on CU Africa. I'll be speaking with the state librarian of the Oyo State Library Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Tita Adebola. Bye-bye.